Hi, this is Shruti.
Hi, I'm Shukti.
Hi, it's Shreeya, and welcome back to Need a Natter.
So it's unlucky 13 for us, or should I say lucky number 13?
Lucky number 13. Let's go.
13th episode, guys. Oh my gosh, that flew by, didn't it? It doesn't feel like we've been doing this for that long.
I feel the other way. I feel like we've done loads.
Really, we have done quite a lot though.
We have done loads. It's just that the amount of time that's passed doesn't seem like it's been that much.
Yeah, true that. So, guys, what have you lot been up to?
I went to work. I woke up very early. I woke up at 5, got out of bed very reluctantly. It was a difficult one. And then I went to work. And then I came home to very happy children who are Shruti Didis, who were very noisy. The whole house was so noisy for so long until you went home. And then, we all had dinner together and stuff in it. Did colour by numbers. That was nice.
Yes.
We did colour by numbers and dinner. Oh, I tried a really cool snack today. So, I had, the corn dinosaurs. I've been thinking about this for a couple of days and I finally did it. Corn dinosaurs with ketchup in a toasted sandwich.
Ooh.
That sounds nice.
Beige food is good.
Those dinosaurs are nice though anyway.
Yeah, they are just really nice.
Yeah, the kids used to really love them, but then they went off them, so...
They were really excited when they saw my sandwich today. If they weren't eating dinner at the same time, they would definitely take a bite.
They probably had, sandwich envy.
Yeah.
Because I gave them sandwiches that they didn't seem to like very much at school today.
Them sandwiches came back untouched.
The most disheartening thing as a parent is spending all that time making interesting packed lunches for your kids, only for them to not take a single bite out of anything you've made them. Yeah. I was disappointed today with my two rejecting their lunch boxes, and the noise continued into my house. And I had to get the 2 Tasmanian devils to bed, which was fun because they had no intention of sleeping. The little one fell asleep in the car, but then she was up in no time and kicking and screaming and demanding to watch Disney.
As you do.
I want to mention something about lunch boxes again. Isn't it weird how that changes as a grown-up? Like, you pack yourself a lunch and you think about it all day. Like, you're ready for lunch at 9:30 in the morning. And you're ready to eat that lunch. You think about your lunchbox. I've seen it at work. Everyone puts so much effort into making their meals when they bring meals to work. But as a kid, I don't know, you do see some kids that are really eager. But I know I was not having it. Birthday party food was great, party rings. And all that kind of stuff, all the little cheese and onion rolls that you can get. I loved all of that. This was pre-vegan me.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Sod's Law. So for anybody who doesn't know what Sod's Law is, it basically is that the chances of the worst thing happening in a particular moment is the chance of that are higher. For example, if you drop your toast on the floor, the buttered side or the jam side will definitely be face down. So then you have to clean everything.
Sod's Law.
That's Sod's Law. So basically my point is as a kid, when you can eat whatever you want and your metabolism's roaring like crazy, it's at the peak amazingness that it's at, you don't really want to eat. Then as soon as you hit 30 and you get the munchies,
quite literally,
you have to cut down on what you're eating. It is insane and it's not fair and it's Sod's Law. It is Sod's Law. Anyway.
So if you're under 30, appreciate every morsel that goes into your mouth.
Yeah. I wish I could go back and eat more chocolate. More bread. More cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese.
More chips.
More cheese. Are back on the cheese again.
Back on the cheese. We love cheese up in here.
Oh my God. We can do one episode just on different types of cheese.
It's funny because you said that in the last episode as well.
I bagged a third of the episode to talk about vegan cheese. Thank you. I want my third.
Can you imagine?
I want my third.
The podcast title, just cheese.
We should do that.
I would tune into that.
Everyone gives a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up if you're on YouTube and write us a comment on Spotify if you want us to do a Just Cheese episode. Vegans, where are you at? Support me on this.
And if you feel as strongly about cheese as we do, then please do like, share, subscribe and comment.
I have to mention something. Has anyone seen that cheese wheel race?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Yeah, it is insane. I would win.
You would never win.
I don't care what anyone says. I would run after that cheese. I would somersault down that hill for that cheese. You win the cheese at the end.
It's really dangerous.
No, it is, yeah. People, they have to have an ambulance or multiple ambulances there.
There was
It's
that lady
amazing.
who dislocated her shoulder and it's never been able to be relocated back. She's just like that now.
Did you just say wheel located back?
Relocated back.
Yes.
When I get excited, I don't talk properly. I get giddy, so...
Yeah, that was a catch-up on us, although I didn't really give my catch-up, but...
You gave your ketchup on cheese?
I forfeited my time to talk about cheese. Anyway, so let's get into this, right? So our episode 13 this time is on something that, I mean, many people have faced, or many people maybe have done as well. And that is bullying. Obviously, there's different types of bullying. It's not just the old school way that it used to be with like mean kids around the playground. So, do you want to get into that for us?
Before we get into it, I think one thing that's really important to bring out is that I remember being young and it always being said to us, but mainly by teachers, that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
That's rubbish.
And I used to always think that the words are what hurt the most. So as someone who encountered bullying quite a lot.
And broken bones.
I would say that the broken bones weren't inflicted on me by a bully, they were self-inflicted. But in terms of the bullying stuff, I would say that, you know, like the odd push here and there did not hurt as much as the verbal taunts that I got. Maybe just anyone who's a bully, just understand that it does hurt and it takes a lifetime to recover from it, and sometimes people never recover from it. So I don't think that saying should be a saying. I don't know if it's still a saying, but I remember hearing it a lot as a child and just thinking, I don't quite believe in this, and I don't, you know, this doesn't resonate with me at all. One of my biggest that I say to my kids is, I just want you to be good, and my worst nightmare would be if one of them turned out to be a bully. I don't care about academic achievements or anything like that. It's just be a good person. But as Shuk just said, there are some subdivisions of bullying, and the categories have expanded since perhaps we were younger. They include obviously the physical bullying, so that being, you know, pushing someone over, like physically threatening them. Then there's verbal bullying as well. So name calling, side comments, and basically not being very nice in a verbal nature. Then there's relational bullying. So that's when you have a group that turns against somebody, or peers picking on an individual. I guess it's more prolonged and it's more to do with the relationships they have in a certain setting. So like, for example, school, and one group against a group that's not as strong, if you like. And the last one is cyberbullying. So this is something that didn't really exist when we were very young. I think it was in its infancy, because I think MSN Messenger was quite big back then, and maybe Yahoo Messenger as well, because you could make those emojis of yourself. I don't know.
But that was around when I was quite young as well, the MSN.
It will have been.
It was probably back end of high school for me.
Honestly, I had MSN even in primary school. As soon as people got email addresses, and for me, like, I got it very early on, and it was to speak to our cousins.
Yeah.
If you remember. So I got it very early because of that, but then everyone started getting MSN in like year 5 and stuff.
So just to clarify, everybody who doesn't know and are too young to know what MSN is, it's basically an instant messaging app. I mean, now it'd be an app, but it was like a website, I guess, in those days.
Kind of like Zoom and Teams.
Yeah. But it was just for messaging, so you could message people instantly, a bit like WhatsApp, but on your computer.
Yeah.
But so that's how, like, after school you'd like chat to your friends. That's what MSN was, and it was, you know, Microsoft's little thing that they developed to keep us all hooked to the computers. But because of MSN, I can type really fast and really well. I think all of us, and the credit is MSN, because school never teaches you to type like this.
No, it's funny you actually say this, because I remember one time I was talking to one of my friends, and they kept saying, how are you typing that fast? I think one of them actually said at one point, is your sister typing for you? Because they knew that I have older sisters. So everyone just like, anytime I did anything good, they're like, did your sister do it for you? And I'm like, no, bro. I have some skills, all right? I have some. And that was one of them. Like, I learned how to type really fast as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we get into some of these types of bullying in slightly more depth, the physical kind of bullying, I've got a couple of examples of that. So I used to go to school with a girl who ended up leaving her previous school to come to our school because she wore a headscarf. And one day in the playground, she got into kind of a physical disagreement with another girl who ripped off her headscarf and started calling her racial slurs. Now, the irony of this is that it predated 9/11. So it wasn't as though it was particularly racially charged time. I heard of her that it got progressively worse post that period. However, this happened prior to that. And then there was a couple of other examples of Sikh kids that we know of having their turbans taken off their heads and beaten up in school. Again, it resulted in those children having to leave school. I mean, this is obviously a racial attack. Physical attacks can take many forms. I had a personal experience where when I used to get onto the school bus, I had a bunch of bullies that used to go after me. For some reason, they didn't like me very much. So they used to try and trip me up on the bus. So I'd fall over. I was already quite clumsy, as we've already said, but it's not a nice thing to be like publicly humiliated in that way. Yeah. And then another girl tried to hit me across the face once as well at school, unprovoked, just because her friend said, "Oh, I bet you could hit her and she wouldn't do anything back." It is obviously not a very nice thing to have in what you would perceive to be a safe environment, especially like something like school.
Yeah.
But that seems to be where these kind of incidents happen more so than other places, because I think it's usually in childhood that you would experience bullying of this nature, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
It is, and it's a lot of the time once they progress to high school, because they start making their own way to school and home. And a lot of instances then happen after school time, when everyone's kind of like still mingling with each other outside the school gates, and then things start to escalate. Sometimes it's because of like issues that have happened during school time, and then they decide to take it out of school. Someone will be challenged to a fight, and then things will just escalate.
In fact, in our region, there's a school that's very, very acclaimed, and there was unfortunately a knife attack that happened outside that school. And it was just basically a group of children from, I don't even think they were at that particular school, but they targeted a boy from that school, and unfortunately he passed away.
Wow.
So you have things that can escalate to that level. That's one isolated incident in our locality, but there's loads more nationally. These are just ones that we've come across, I think.
Yeah. I often feel like when you think about high school in particular, it's not that different to prison. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like the behaviour. I'm talking about the behaviour.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't say that I've experienced bullying, and I would honestly say that my year group in high school was quite friendly as a whole. So I can't even remember any occasions in which I've witnessed a person getting bullied in high school, to be honest. That might be specific to my age group or my classes that I was in, that everyone got along really well. Yeah. So maybe I missed something with the other half of the year that you don't really mingle with, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't really witness it. But you do hear about things that, like someone got jumped in the loos, or stuff like that. And I do, but then you literally hear the same kind of thing. Like, honestly, the reason why I'm thinking this now, when you mentioned high school, was that in the morning I was listening to Piers Morgan Uncensored. So, and he was talking about Ghislaine Maxwell's case with her brother. I think it came out like about, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, but I was just catching up on what's happening with that case, and so I was just catching up on it. And her brother was saying that, prisons are really violent places. So I feel like her life is in danger. Just now when you mentioned it just kind of made me think, gosh, high school sounds like prison. In those hours, 9 to 3, when you're in school or whatever the hours are now, it's like prison, isn't it? Because so many things just go unnoticed by the teachers. So many words get exchanged between the kids that no one listens to. And the kids that are not, who are a little vulnerable, do have a really hard time, don't they?
And you can't escape your abuser. And that's another thing, because you are in that classroom environment, you're not going to be able to escape them, and they'll follow you outside the classroom. I mean, they're always with you. So a teacher might be specific to one subject and might see something in isolation and not fill in the dots, basically. Like, I think in primary school you have that one designated teacher who can keep an eye on you and would understand how the relationships work. Not saying primary schools don't have their own share of problems, they do. But in high school, I think when you've got the subjects level teachers and you don't quite have someone keeping a close eye on you, you don't know what's happening behind a door or in a corner of a corridor. It's not as transparent, basically, what goes on.
That's true. And it's also because of the teachers that are looking after the kids know the kids really well, whereas in high school teachers never really get to know you that well, because your years group's so big. You end up getting taught by so many different teachers, and if you're not one of the loud ones, you don't really get heard or seen or noticed. They don't really know you outside of what you write in your book and they mark. You know what I mean?
Or unless you're one of the ones that does extracurricular activities with that teacher. For example, you do extra drama things outside of drama class, and for example, like Shreeya and I separately, but we took part in the talent show. Therefore, the drama teacher, or the people that the teachers that organise the talent show really well, or the teachers really well who took you on like a field trip. But again, that only happens like 2 or 3 times throughout high school, which means it's only out of your 10 teachers that you have a week, I guess, 10 to 15 teachers that you have in a week, you only know about 3 of them.
And I think it's the mix of pupils as well in high school. So in this country, at least, in the United Kingdom, primary school, you would go to a school in your locality. So something that's walking distance or in your catchment. So you would often mingle with people of the same background, same socioeconomic background, and, you know, maybe the same demographics as well. Whereas high school's more of a mix. And one thing that happened in our high school that I think caused my situation anyway, in terms of the bullying that I had, was the fact that we merged with another school from the other side of the city. And that was a rougher part of the city. So we had an influx of children from a deprived area being mixed with other children who were perceived to be posh, which was us guys. And they resented us. If you weren't pretty or popular or like wanting to mess about, I guess, and, you know, like I was academically inclined at one point. So I think that that's what they went after, because it's like, oh, she's a swot. We don't like that. Yeah. Oh, she's fat. And she's a fat posh girl, whatever you want to call it. So it was kind of like picking at those kind of things. And one of my really close friends, she was picked on for being just basically standing out a little more than other children as well. So it was one of those things that wasn't ever for the reasons that you would associate with. There's never one reason. There's never a reason to be picked on. They'll find a fault. They'll find something that they don't like about you. Bullies will.
Yeah, but then you did mention that you've had experience outside of school as well, because I don't want this to just be about school. It does happen in adulthood as well, right? So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So in adulthood, I think it turns to more the verbal side of bullying. That happens in a school environment as well, but I'll just draw on my experience of being verbally bullied and sidelined at work. So the first time this happened, it's happened multiple times actually, but the first time it happened was relatively not that long after I graduated. So it was one of my first roles. And there was a particular person in the team who just didn't like me. There was history there, like I knew this person from before. I knew them from my higher educational institution. And this person did not like me for whatever reason. And brought that into the workplace and became very friendly with my boss, who then started sidelining me and picking holes in the work that I was doing, even if I was doing a good job, was trying to find ways to belittle me or talk over me. Ironically, it was women who were doing this as well, which I thought was particularly bad, because I thought, you know, at least we should stick together in a workplace that's male dominated. Eventually, when redundancies came up, I knew I was going, because the individual managers had a say and they needed to reduce headcount. So despite not, you know, being bad in my performance or anything like that, they just got rid of me. The second time that I encountered what I would term as bullying was post having my first child. I went back to work and there'd been a reshuffle at work. So I was assigned a whole new team, basically, that I wasn't proficient in that area of work. I basically was working as part of that team and trying to do my best. And, you know, once you go back to work after having had a baby, you've had a break of a year. So it's almost like you're picking everything up again. Plus it was a new team completely. It seemed as though every single thing was picked on. Oh, you don't seem to be doing this quite right. Are you distracted because of your baby?
Oh my God.
You know, things, yeah. You know, and when I asked if I could have some time away from the office to feed my baby, which I'm allowed to do by law, that was brought into quite, they were like, well, you're doing that on our time. It's not technically legal, but who wants to fight that? And I can't go into it in too much detail because I still want to have a job at the end of the day. It got to the point where I had to leave, and I tried to make it as amicable as possible, but it really wasn't. If I'm honest, I feel a lot of resentment towards that and how it was treated. But I wasn't the only one. There's lots of people who left at that time. It's just the fact that, you know, when you're already quite vulnerable when you return to work after having a baby, you've got that entire thing about, I'm having to abandon my child and, you know, go to work. You're already feeling not so great. You don't feel like you're up to speed with everything that's going on, and to be knocked back continuously rather than someone supporting you.
Yeah.
Again, a woman.
Yeah.
That is bad as that. But yeah, this girl on girl hate that happens, that really has to stop. It's unbelievably Stupid.
I must add, though, I've had some amazing female bosses, absolutely amazing female bosses who I still look up to.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I had that experience to counter the negative experiences.
Yeah. But it's like, I do feel like, the end of Mean Girls, when the teacher talks about how girls need to stop picking on other girls for no reason, because it does happen a lot that it's just for no reason. The girl on girl hate happens for no reason whatsoever, just because you feel threatened by that person, or maybe it's this subconscious thing that we have, that we are all fighting for the same job and we're still fighting more than the guys have to fight. We're still in that mentality, right? A lot of the times that is the case.
That's
though.
true, actually.
But
yeah.
but hating on each other isn't going to help us get the job or help us get ahead or whatever. But it's this thing that we've been conditioned, through society or through whatever, that we're competing with all the other girls out there, whether it's to keep our partner, whether it's to get the job, whether it's whatever, oh, it's a pretty girl, let me just hate on her a little bit because she's pretty, because I'm feeling insecure in my relationship or whatever. It's really silly. It's silly.
Yeah.
I always think about that end thing of Mean Girls that the teacher says. She basically says, you guys need to stop calling each other, profanities, because that just makes it okay for the guys to do it as well.
Yeah, it's the Tina Fey character, but I remember her real name, but I don't remember the character name.
Yeah, no, I don't remember. But yeah, should we go on to the next one?
So the next type of bullying was relational. So that's kind of more like a group trying to belittle a person or turning on somebody. I don't have any specific example of this apart from a few episodes ago I spoke about the internet stories, and there was that kind of racial comment or joke that was poked, even though it wasn't explicitly to this person. It was in her presence and she was offended by it, and then after that the group kept joking around her just to make her feel bad about it. So I guess that's an example of the relational bullying.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Mean Girls. There's an example of that in it. I mean, it was really fun in Mean Girls, but the way the cool girls were kind of picking on Janice, that would then be relational bullying, wouldn't it? That would be an example of it.
Yeah.
That, they're calling her names, they're talking about her sexual preferences, and all of that stuff. That would then be considered relational bullying then, I guess.
And they probably bullied back a little bit by giving her the Calcium bars.
Yeah.
Legally Blonde as well. Everyone hated on Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, what, she's smart, she got in here like the rest of us. Like, she can't be, because she's pretty and looks after herself and cares about the way that she looks, then surely she can't have a brain. And so, she gets refused from the
study group.
From the study group. Even though she bought muffins. She bought a basket
I
of
know.
muffins, man.
That's not nice at all. And then the last one?
Cyberbullying.
Right.
So cyberbullying, I think there's loads of examples, because it's, I guess, a very hot topic at the moment, especially in the press, with there being some very, very negative experiences that people have had in terms of cyberbullying.
Shall I just go through some facts?
Yeah.
So just some statistics about cyberbullying, okay? So in the UK, what the statistics are saying currently are that 27% of kids aged 8 to 15 have experienced some type of cyberbullying on social media. 27%, like, that is insane. That's an insane amount of
It's super high for a very young demographic, because my son isn't far off being 8.
No, he's not. 8 to 8. What on earth is an 8-year-old doing on social media? You know what I mean? Then also, I mean, this one surprised me quite a lot. The Asian or British Asian kids are less likely to experience cyberbullying. Only 6% of them have reported of experiencing online bullying. But the highest percentage, 21%, is white children within Britain.
Is this because of the parenting? Because I wonder if it's because the kind of access to social media is blocked by ethnic minority parents.
I think that was the case when we were little. But I think these days it's about, I mean, I don't know. From what I've seen of the kids that I know, they are on it. Like, we know a lot of kids who were on social media like really early in life, and they're all an ethnic minority. All those kids that we know were ethnic minorities,
social
and
media. Everyone's on social media because everyone, like, all the kids have smartphones.
Yeah.
Every single kid has a smartphone, they've got an iPad, they will sign themselves up. What do they have to do? Like, just fake their age? Is there any verification for that? No, there isn't. You just have to tick a box to say, are you so and so or older? And you say yes to that, and there you go, you've got a social media account. That's all
It's 13, isn't it? Is that the bottom
I think
age?
so. I think
Is that the lowest
I
age?
think yeah, something 12 or 13. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to that, the percentage of black or black British kids who experience online bullying is 18%, whereas mixed ethnic groups were 19%. So I mean, I find this quite surprising that Asian people are bullied the least online, because they definitely experience a lot of bullying in person. So I would have thought that would translate online, but obviously it's not, for whatever reason. Okay.
I wonder if it's a different kind of bullying. So, like, rather than discrimination as it is towards ethnic minorities, it's something else to do with size or what their parents do for work, and all that kind of stuff. Like, kids will always pick on something to pick on.
Yeah. Another fact is that 74% of parents have said that the bullies that are, bullying their children were other kids that know their kids. So it's not unknown people. It's not a random person who's added you on Instagram or something and sent you like a nasty DM. 74% of the parents believe that that their kids are getting bullied by other kids that they know, which is insane. It's not like what happens with celebrities, the trolling that happens, which is also horrendous. And it's not that anonymous thing, the keyboard warriors thing, that it is that, we'll get into the theory a little bit later about the anonymous people, but that's not what it is. What's happening with children is that kids are being bullied online by other kids that they know, not anonymously, which is really quite peculiar, actually, now that we're thinking about it.
Because I think for adults, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Because I think with adults, it's because they are putting information out there, or they are going after a particular group of people who aren't necessarily children. Like, for example, you mentioned the ethnic minority thing. There is a very anti-South Asian rhetoric online at the moment. So you do find a lot of racial slurs, very direct and explicit attacks on minority communities online, but perhaps not directed towards an individual, but directed towards a group of people. But again, it would be towards adults who would seek out that content in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. But now, just to go a little bit further, what's shocking about this even more is that 29% of teenagers who experience cyberbullying do not say anything. They do not report it. They do not do anything about it. They just take it. Which, can you imagine the amount of stress this child must be under, going online and receiving hate? Because now, also, to take your profile down or not be on social media, that's also a cause for not being cool as well within teenagers. So you have to be on there. If you block someone, then you're a loser for blocking them. So you have to just keep taking it. Or the person will just keep, if they really want to bully you, they'll just make another profile. These days, these kids have like multiple profiles, right? They have like they have one regular account, and they've got one account for memes, then one account for some other rubbish. And then it's quite insane, the amount. I think they really need to do something about the social media thing. I feel like the way, at least when I first got Facebook, okay, it was genuinely to connect with my friends who I'm not in touch with anymore. That's genuinely what it was for. Now it seems like the intention is not to keep in touch with people, it's to stalk people almost online. Isn't it? That's what it seems like the thing is, because the amount of conversation that used to happen when social media first kicked off compared to now has completely changed. Like, people don't message each other to check in or whatever the way they used to. Do you guys remember when you first got on social media? Now, how often do you hear from your 1,000 friends that you have on Facebook? How often do you hear from them?
Exactly.
On my birthday, and that's about it.
And even then, it's not going to be all your friends, is it? It'll just be a selection of the same ones that wish you happy birthday every year.
But I think towards the kind of middle of the noughties, one thing I started noticing was I was getting a lot of direct contact from people I didn't know.
Right.
So, like, they'd just DM you. And sometimes that would get really nasty because you'd tell them to go away. And then they'd start name calling. And I'd be like, I don't know you, I didn't initiate this conversation. And they were like, why are you being like that for? Why? Like feeling that you owe them some kind of reaction. So I reckon that is what has now, I mean, it's probably not so much within the Facebook environment anymore, but I think that's kind of fed into Instagram a little more and, other social media platforms, but not necessarily Facebook, because Facebook is now, it's an older demographic.
Yeah, you don't really, it's not cool anymore, is Facebook. So here's another statistic which pretty much highlights exactly this whole anonymous keyboard warrior theory that, people will do this online trolling as long as their face is not visible. And that is that 9 in 10 people, not children, people, 9 in 10 people experience bullying while playing video games online.
Yeah.
Right? So 9 in 10 people, like why?
90%.
How is anyone still playing games online? It's shocking.
Yeah, and even if they're playing games, why are they continuing to chat with people? Or I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's something I find so hard to wrap my head around, because whenever we've played video games, it's been as a family, so we've not really interacted with other people.
Yeah, so we're not gamers, though, are we? Like that?
Yeah.
We don't.
We're not gamers, but I understand this is like more of a trend these days. So you get like a lot of kids online playing games and inboxing each other. There's been some horrendous cases in the news to do with this as well.
But they'd be saying people, like, this is actual gamers. And like, I've seen a lot of gamers who like stream themselves gaming, and I know it's definitely happened to females a lot, where they'll be playing against all males, and they'll be like, what's a girl doing in here? And they'll kind of like outcast her and not let her get involved, and keep making like comments towards her about being a woman, about not being good enough, about how she shouldn't be a gamer. And then at the end, when she's playing well, then, oh, you're pretty good for a girl.
For a girl,
like, for a girl. And like, and then it's so toxic, all of it. Even if it's not women, but like,
Yeah. So, I mean, we have just touched on this about if you're not recognizable, or if you're anonymous, you're more likely to do things that you wouldn't do if you were identifiable. Shrees, can you just talk us through a psychological study that's kind of had this hypothesis in place?
So there was a psychological research that was done by Zimbardo a few decades ago, and he did this prisoner and guards kind of setup where he got two groups of people, and I don't know if it was a random kind of selection of who goes in which group, but they had them play the role of guards and prisoners, like in a prison setup. So there was literally people behind bars, and the whole thing, as he watched it and monitored it and observed everyone's behaviour, it became like this mob mentality. So it became an us and them kind of understanding between everyone. So the guards would start to degrade the prisoners and not allow them certain rights. And, as far as things like hygiene and medical, and they'd abuse them. And so the prisoners themselves obviously started to behave like prisoners. And what's interesting is that, and because matters escalated so much, that these people seemed to really believe that they were guards and they were prisoners, and started behaving that way, that people were literally being abused here. And the guards thought they had powers, which they actually didn't, because they were citizens. This was just a research that was going on. It wasn't reality. It had to be stopped. Zimbardo had to stop this study from continuing because it was becoming so unethical, on for so many reasons. But if anyone wants to look it up, it's quite interesting. And the BBC also recreated this in the early 2000s as well. I think it was Reicher and Haslan, I think was their names, the researchers. So they redid this whole thing to try and see if there's been a change over these decades. And again, I think there was, a full riot that happened. The prisoners actually retaliated, and it was a full riot. It was a complete mess, and it's almost as though everyone just kind of lost sense of reality and good and bad, and who they really were, because you become invisible when you're in a group. You all become the same. It's like you all have the same face. You all have a mask on. You all look the same. You're all in a group, so you all share the same mentality. You're like, if one of us get in trouble, we're all going to get in trouble.
Not just that, you can't be out of a group of 100 people. You as an individual can't really be identified, right?
Yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah.
you can't be identified. So that is what it says, that, you know, situations like this makes you lose your individual identity, which makes you lose your self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
it's like, do you remember that there's a movie, actually, I mean, it's slightly different to this concept, but there's a movie, I can't remember the name of it. It's a really good movie though, where it's the concept is if there's no law for one day, then how would people behave?
Yeah.
So it's kind of what it is, isn't it? Because when you're in a group, or not in a group, when you're anonymous, you're not accountable.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to do things that you're not that proud of. There's no repercussions of your actions, right?
There was also that incident that happened recently where these prisoners, I don't remember which country it was in, but these prisoners escaped a prison. They all went on basically to commit a lot more crimes. I don't really want to go into it because I feel like it's going to be a massive trigger warning as to what they did. But they all went out, everybody escaped, and everyone basically just decided to commit more violent crimes against women specifically, because
Right.
I mean they're already in trouble. They've all already been sentenced. They're free until they get captured again, so they might as well.
I think with a lot of these experiments specifically, they can't be recreated now for ethical reasons.
Yeah.
But there was an experiment that was played out on TV in the form of Big Brother.
Yeah.
All of this has just reminded me of the entire Show Pushetti saga,
Yeah.
which was again mob mentality in the sense that they were targeting a particular individual because of, you know, what was perceived as being a classist divide, almost like she was a higher class than a lot of the other people who were taking part. And they picked on her. It became a massive fiasco, and there were repercussions, but it just shows what can happen when you think that you're not going to be reprimanded and how far things can go when you think that there are no consequences to your action.
Yeah.
Because it was a really weird situation, because what was happening on screen, that was an isolated bubble almost, but the audience reactions and the way the tabloids took that and ran with it was completely different. Like the public opinion was very different to that, you know, that little clique who thought they were doing something really funny or whatever.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that whole thing, you could actually see Britain change as a country once that happened on national television. You know, that she was picked on national television. I feel like everyone became more PC and everyone was a bit more careful and calculated about the way they're speaking in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. They were a bit more aware of the jokes that they're making, and there was a huge change. I remember when that came out, and we could actually feel the shift, right? Before that Big Brother came out and after that Big Brother came out, and the face of Britain completely changed. I do think we're regressing now again from where we had reached as a society, the PC kind of barriers coming down again. But I mean, just back to the anonymous thing, right?
Yeah.
The mob mentality is one thing. See, Big Brother was they were still identifiable. But when you take this mob mentality, then on top of that, your face is not visible. Then on top of that, your name is not visible. Then imagine what people can write on other people's social media and the trolling. You know, there's some absolutely diabolical trolling that you can see of celebrities, or in particular, because obviously you know their names, so you can, or you follow them, so you can see the comments. But they are actors. Again, I'm going to talk about Hindi film actors because that's something I'm familiar with. But you can see R-word threats happening to female actors constantly. You know, if they're wearing something that's a little revealing or whatever, doesn't sit with the ethics of this keyboard warrior, this anonymous troll, if it doesn't sit in the same ethics as that person, then they feel entitled to threaten a woman like that just because. Not just that, now what do you think they say to the men? They then threaten that man's wife, they threaten that man's daughter. That is literally what you see. You see disgusting slurs given to people on there because there's no repercussions for it. And the worst thing is right now, we were just discussing before we went on to record, was that this is not illegal either, as of now. As of the time of this particular recording, it's not illegal to say, it's illegal to threaten, right?
Yes.
But it's not illegal to be disgusting and say disgusting things to a person, like call them names. And the thing is, when you are a celebrity and you've got, let's say, 50 million followers, how many comments are you going to block? How many people are you going to, how many comments are you going to delete? It's not possible.
This is the thing, you can get away with it, but if you're not doing anything like malicious, you're not making malicious threats, you're not putting someone in fear and them actually thinking that, yeah, they're going to come for me. Because when it gets to that, then, yeah, it starts to become an offence. But other than that, you can say what you want. You can use whatever abusive words you want against someone, and that's allowed. That's absolutely fine.
I think the repercussions only happen when that person threatens like real life situation. If they step out and almost identify themselves and then start harassing in person. Because I think that's taken more seriously. Or stalking in person is taken more seriously. But someone threatening it online is not seen as a crime specifically.
Let's say you're a celebrity. And I'm saying celebrities specifically because that's something that you can actually see. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about any random, so I'm not going to name names, but any random celebrity, okay? I can guarantee that all of them have got horrible messages, okay?
Yeah.
How many of those are you going to report? How many of those are the cops going to take seriously? And how many of those are going to have repercussions of their actions?
Yeah.
I'm sure the advice that might be given to them is, oh no, they're not going to do anything. It's just an internet troll.
Yeah.
More than likely, that's what's going to happen. Oh, let's see if they say anything else. Ignore them this time. Let's see if they say anything else. Because frankly, that is generally the advice you get in life in general.
It will be. And then, you know what the thing is, though, is that you see these celebrities then blocking comments in like their Instagram posts that you can't comment anymore. But then that doesn't stop people from creating fake accounts to troll that celebrity. And you see that a lot as well. They'll still continue to make their own material to hate on them with and troll them with and share lies about them and
they use
rumours.
forums to do that as well.
And this has always been the case. Like we've seen it in magazines all the time as well. Celebrities get bullied from the press. They spread rumours about them. They do all sorts. So it gets done publicly, but now people are making money out of it from their homes, just making fake accounts and spreading lies about people and bullying them, and that drives people to madness.
Yeah, it does. And what that also does is because it's happening on such a massive level with celebrities, that trickles down into society as well, doesn't it? It doesn't just end with a famous person, because the people that are trolling them then feel like they can message other people as well. And you then, society then as a whole just gets a bit decayed. You know, the way you're allowed.
It becomes a learned behaviour.
Yeah. And
because you say, okay, someone else behaved in this way, nothing happened to them. I can say what I want. And nothing will happen to me.
I do want to go to, I mean, this wasn't exactly bullying, but the My Sweet Bobby case, okay? It was catfishing, but is that the way it was done? The fact, okay, so anybody who's not familiar with the case, basically there was a girl who had a relationship with a guy online for 5 years, and then it ended up being that that girl wasn't dating a guy, that guy was made up, and the person who was behind that was her own cousin, who was a female. And she never got an apology for it. The reason why I'm saying that's almost like bullying. Okay, nothing's been said to you. You've not been bullied in the traditional way, but a mockery has been made out of your whole life.
Your whole adult life, pretty much.
And even catfishing, as of today, is that illegal yet?
I don't think so. I think catfishing on its own isn't. I think it has to be linked to another crime for it to be the case.
It has to be linked to things like false representation. Do you know what I mean? Like some kind of fraud related stuff. So when people start taking money from you because you think you're in a relationship with someone because of catfishing and that kind of deception, then something can come out of it,
Again, you have to be identified in order for that to happen.
You have to be identified, So there's another thing as well, like there's a lot of like deep fake videos that are coming about. People are able to do voice phishing now as well. So they're able to take the voice of someone that you could trust. So maybe like someone calls up one of you guys and you can hear my voice saying, oh, Divya, I need this money really fast. I'm in a lot of trouble. Like, send me whatever to this account. And it's not me. It's voice phishing.
Yeah, I actually didn't tell you guys this. When I was in India, I mean, this is not about bullying, but when I was there, just before I came back to the UK, I got a call from somebody who said, your dad has asked you to transfer me this money. And I was like, what? And then he even said my dad's name, or our dad's name even. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
But who is this? And I genuinely thought maybe there's some emergency in the family or something. So I was like, who is this? And they gave me a name, which was quite a generic name. We could have been related to that person. We have quite a generic Indian surname anyway. So I was like, where is my dad? And he said, you don't know where your dad is? And I was like, no, because I was trying to test the waters. Like, no, I don't know where is he right now? And he just said, he's abroad. Don't you know that he's abroad? And when he said that, and he didn't name the city, that's when I realized that this is not real. And I just kind of put the phone down. But I didn't even mention this to Bar actually, because I thought I forgot about it, to be honest. But now that I'm thinking about it, it was really freaky. Now that I've actually thought about it, it's quite scary. He knew Bar's name. Obviously, he knew our surname, and maybe he knew of a person within our family who's maybe stalked my profiles and whatever and found somebody with a name that crosses over with a name that I'd be familiar with or whatever. And yeah, it's quite scary. But at least in that, even if that person took money from me, that would be just the money gone. It's not your self-respect. It's not your trust. It's not your morale. It's none of those things. It's just your money. You know what I mean? I mean, it is your trust. But what happened in that My Sweet Bobby thing just like destroyed that girl's life. And I think that, or at least for that moment, destroyed those few years. I don't think it's destroyed her life. I think she's bounced back from it quite well now. But those few years are just gone, you know? And that there should be a repercussion to things like that. There should be a repercussion to making people feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And she got away with it because the thing is that the scars from this, like, you know, if it was a physical scar that she received, if it was something like a physical alteration, you would say, yeah, this person deserves to be behind bars. That woman is not behind bars. The perpetrator is not behind bars. But it's left scars in its own way. That she's going to like have major trust issues throughout her life. I mean, how can you not? After going through something like that. And it went on for like more than a decade, right? So it was a long time.
Do you know, actually, we even know a person, a lady of like I want to say in her 60s, or new, who ended her life after bullying in the workplace, if you guys remember.
Oh, yeah, we do. We do, yeah.
Right? And we've talked about the mentality of the bullies. We've not talked about the effects on, we have a little bit just now, but deeply we've not spoken about the effects of bullying on the person who is being bullied. Right? And that is as extreme as it can go. If this is something that can happen to a lady who is married, who has children, who has older children, not like little children, like children in their 20s and 30s, kind of, I guess that's their age. And she felt the pressure of bullying in the workplace to an extent that she ended her own life. Imagine what the effect of it must happen on children. And we do hear about some cases, don't we? We have heard of late.
There's lots of cyberbullying cases where children have ended their lives. And
not just
I can't
cyber.
even imagine.
Not just cyber.
No, not just cyber, but I mean, like recently in the news, it's been cyberbullying that they've focused on. But yeah, it's any type of bullying can. In fact, that's one thing that, you know, the effect on the person and them feeling that they have got no option but to take their own life. You just, it's also the kind of, obviously the lack of support that they feel that they can receive. It's like maybe not knowing where to turn, maybe not thinking that this could be resolved ever. I mean, imagine what state that person must be in to think that there's no other option. And then you've got bullies who take it to the extreme where they end the life of their victims or, you know, the person that they've been bullying. So there was a situation in Canada where there was a girl from an ethnic minority who had put herself in a foster home situation to be with someone who she thought was her friend, and she was cut off from the rest of her family. And this one night, I think when she planned to be with the rest of her family, she was invited out with a group of people that she wanted to be close to. And it turned out that those people were actually, you know, they didn't like her very much and they set upon her. And it was found out a lot later, the kind of things that they inflicted on her. And unfortunately, she lost her life as a result of that kind of mob behavior towards her. And that person she perceived to be a friend was actually a bully. So she was like, tearing down her self-esteem, throughout. So it's kind of like the physical and the mental repercussions that bullying can have. And it's the escalation as well of certain things. So obviously this was like a physical assault, but it led to this person's life ending.
Other examples of this now that I'm just thinking about it, an adult, it ties into our weddings episode that we did about dowry. Okay.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, dowry is basically, if you guys haven't heard that episode, first, go listen to it. Also, the weddings one. But also dowry is essentially a price that is paid by in South Asian culture, or in Indian culture anyway, that the bride's family would give to the groom's family. And it's illegal to do that now, but now culturally a lot of people still a lot of grooms and their families ask obscene amount of money sometimes from the bride's family. So just recently there was a case that came up about a woman who was newlywed, but she was bullied despite having given quite a lot of dowry, but she was bullied by her in-laws, and they were demanding more. They were trying to, extract more money from her family. And instead of putting that pressure on, onto her family, she ended her life. So I mean, this is another aspect of it that we've not explored yet, is bullying that happens at home. Now if you guys, Shreeya, you might not remember, you're very little. If you remember them, please correct me. But do you remember the Big Breakfast? You guys, or you 90s babies who are listening right now, you should remember the morning television show Big Breakfast. Now if you remember, the segment that they used to have was Pushy Mums. Okay.
Oh God, yeah.
Now, at the time, we used to find that hilarious, and it was a really popular segment of the show, where it was about mums who push their kids and into doing, for example, extracurricular activities or whatever. And now I realise, as a grown-up, and after having seen Did with her kids and interacting with, little kids more, I realise how toxic that is. And how that is a form of bullying, that you're pushing your kid so much into something that maybe they don't want to do, and they don't have a choice.
Can I just clarify? She's not calling me a pushy mum.
Yeah, no, sorry. I mean, it's given me perspective on that segment of the show. Now that I know what kids are like, it's given me perspective.
Kids are like, yes.
Yeah,
the psyche of a kid.
That how fragile their minds are at that age. That, if you put too much pressure on them, they crack under that pressure. So it has to be done in a very, and you do that. You do give them a lot of choice. You do ask them what they want to do. And I
think I'm the opposite of a pushy parent.
Yeah, you're the opposite of that, actually. The kids ask you, or they tell you, they're very vocal about what they want to do or they don't want to do. And you take that on board. But this segment, Pushy Mums, was totally normalised in the 90s, wasn't it? That it was
and
trivialised.
I think it was seen as, but there was a lot of stuff like that. There was also like the toddlers and tiaras thing, which was literal bullying into being a pageant kid, even if you didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And there's been some horrible consequences from that as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to really go into, but there've been some horrific consequences of that.
And so many lads who are bullied by their dads. Right? You're not a boy. You're not you need to be more manly. You need to toughen up. You need to stop being so girly. You need to go out and play with boys. Don't sit here and do girly things and all that crap that comes out of men, the mouth of toxic men. If we go again, I'm going to mention the same case, the Menendez brothers. Okay, their defense. If you even ignore what their defense is at this point, that they were being harassed by their dad as well. That's a separate topic. But on the face of it, the people that knew that family without knowing their dark secrets, all of them knew that they were getting bullied by their dad on a daily basis and being pushed into living a particular lifestyle and behaving a particular way. And because of that, these boys started acting out. So first it started with theft. Like, they used to go and steal things from their neighbours' houses, right? Anybody who doesn't know about the Menendez brothers, please go check out that case if you are interested in true crime. But first
there's multiple sources out there as well.
multiple.
I was going to say that go too deep.
It's a really famous case. So first they started out by going and nicking things, like breaking into the houses of some of their rich neighbours. They lived in a really elite part of America, and they'd start nicking things, breaking into people's houses and nicking them and whatever. When the dad found out, obviously they were reprimanded really badly. And then at the end of it, these two lads, they just lost it completely one night and ended the lives of their mum and dad. So now the reason for why they are saying that this happened was because they were R-worded by their dad on multiple occasions, right? But then at the same time, a lot of people don't believe that defense, and that's why they were convicted of ending the lives of their parents. It might just be that they were bullied and they needed a way out. That's what I believe. That's my take on that case, is that they were bullied by their dad and they just had enough and they were at breaking point, even if you take the R word part of it out of it.
There was a very similar case involving an East Asian girl who, ended the life of her mother. Her father got away. She didn't quite manage to end his life. But again, it was for the same reason, because she had like a tiger parenting situation. So in terms of the entire Asian population, when they try and pressurize their children to do well academically or musically, it's seen as a tiger parenting situation. And there was like a similar case like that. So not as popular, I don't think. Obviously not as popular, but just a different ethnicity and different perspective as well on the same thing. So it's happened a couple of times at least.
So I mean, it happens in the house as well. It happens in the home a lot, by partners on partners, parents on kids, and even kids on parents after a particular age. Ridiculous as that seems, siblings, between siblings, it is a thing. I mean, people need to keep an eye on it, because I mean, we are becoming more aware as society about mental health and how important that is, and how keeping things to yourself or keeping it all in your head is quite detrimental, and what the power of your mind is. We are becoming more aware of that. And when something is powerful, it can be positive and it can be negative, right? How is cyberbullying or bullying in school, how is it, or bullying in the workplace, how is it still a thing? You know what I mean? How is it still legal? Some of it, a lot of it, people can get away with it.
It's a power dynamic, isn't it? It's a kick that the bully gets out of feeling more powerful in the moment. And they do say that, the perspective is that a lot of bullies are hurt people themselves. Like they've probably been bullied before by somebody else, or they've seen that kind of behavior before being rewarded in some way, and that's why they copy it.
But I do also think that is another thing that people make up to try and humanize bullies, because some people are just nasty from the womb, whether we want to believe that or not.
Yeah, I think even if it's not true, it doesn't excuse the behaviour, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Some people are just nasty, but I think what Shruti just mentioned about that behaviour being rewarding is really important, because maybe it's not that someone starts bullying someone when it gets to the workplace. Maybe that's a behaviour that they've learned from earlier on when they've been forming their cliques, and they've thought, oh, people laugh when I do this and they like me more when I say this to this person because it makes me look better and it makes me look quirky and funny, and you know what I mean? Like that behaviour gets rewarded, and then that becomes their personality. Because I see it at work sometimes. People will get away with saying things because they're the funny one, or they're just joking. But if you don't know that person very well, you won't know that. First of all, so you don't get used to that behaviour, but then it becomes normalised because it becomes that person's personality, and they make it out as though they're just being funny. It was just a joke. But then how is the person on the receiving end taking that? And how many times do they have to listen to that same thing? And when does that one comment turn into bullying? When does it turn into harassment? When does it turn into abuse? And so I think that whole rewarding,
the lines get blurred,
is really important. And sometimes that does just start at home, doesn't it? You might see your parents doing that, and then you start behaving the same, so they reward it. It just becomes normal for people. So maybe it's not just an excuse and trying to keep
true.
I think it could just be how they see it.
We've said it before, people just need to be nicer to each other.
Because one example I have of this from last year, of this boy, specifically what I was on about to do with the cliques and that kind of stuff, this is also like a racially aggravated kind of bullying. And I think somehow it goes through all the 4 types of bullying that we've talked about at the beginning of this podcast. So it was a white teenager who was bullying a black teenager that he knew. And it started off by challenging him to a fight, which the black teenager, he declined. And so he was added later on. Well, first of all, he was called a coward for that. So he was belittled there. And then he was added to a Snapchat group where he was then verbally abused and abused, through cyberbullying in this way, where racial slurs were used to abuse him. And then after that, there was an incident where the same white teenager told the black teenager that he had to kiss his filthy shoe while he's like with all his mates. He said that's what you have to do. So he was like bullying him into it, kind of thing. And this was before he's then repeatedly started punching him in a racial attack. This was then filmed and then shared on social media. So obviously the perpetrator in this situation, he's had his clique supporting him. And he's being rewarded through that support. And them joining him in verbally abusing him and using these racial slurs on this Snapchat group. Because this black teenager, he's singled out here. He's been added to the group chat and they're just abusing him on it. And then they've had this attack, and then while he's punching him, his friends are then recording it. So all of that behaviour, they're rewarding each other. They've got the mob mentality going on as well. They're all in it together.
And I think it's very akin to like, like college initiation ceremonies that happen across the world. I wouldn't say that they are a big thing in the United Kingdom. I've never come across them.
No.
But kind of like if you want to join a sorority group, for example, they have like a weird initiation ceremony where you have to almost demean yourself or embarrass yourself in a major way. And there's been lots of cases, again, when people have felt bullied to the extent that they've ended their life over something like that. And there's been a lot of cases throughout the world. I mean, I'm familiar with a few cases over in India that are quite similar to that, where somebody has felt so humiliated that they've found it like almost easier to end their life than to put up with the humiliation.
And I think because of that, we also need to talk a lot about peer pressure as well in these kind of situations, because what we've not talked about, surprisingly, is university students when they move out of their home. They're all in the same situation in the sense that they're all out of their home, out of their comfort zone for the first time. But you form your cliques almost instantly. And then you're peer pressured into getting involved in certain things that you might not feel comfortable doing. Again, with stuff like initiations, house parties, flat parties, drinking, and other stuff that goes on, you feel peer pressures because you want to fit in. And bullying does also take another form there. And it does have a big role to play in what people end up doing.
Again, I think we could discuss this for hours again. But before we wrap, should we quickly go around and just mention any popular culture references that we can think of regarding bullying? We've already mentioned one, Mean Girls. Can you think of any others?
Yeah, I can. So I'm going to go Hindi film here. But I'm going to talk about Three Idiots. So at the beginning of Three Idiots, when they show that college initiation ceremony that happens, they did trivialize it a little bit because they never showed it again. But in universities or colleges in India, like the first years really do have to, and it's not just like one sorority, it's everybody. The people who are in their first year get picked on by the previous, like the older lot, the second years, third years, fourth years, or whatever. They get picked on. So they did trivialize it a bit in the beginning of Three Idiots, but then they showed another type of bullying, which was the head of the university was bullying one of the students. A couple of the students, actually, not just one of them. And then his own son, in fact, by putting pressure on them, which maybe he saw, or his character saw as pushing them. Again, we're looking at the pushy mums thing, right? So he's pushing them to get the right results, the correct results, the acquired results to keep his university as a elite school, right? But because of that, the repercussions of that were shown quite nicely, I think, in that film.
There was also that table number, what was it, 21?
21.
Yeah.
Table number 21.
It's kind of a spoiler regarding that movie, but towards the end of it, that you kind of understand kind of the entire purpose of the film, because there's a lot of bullying that happens towards one particular person in that film. So I think that was that was a more serious take on the entire issue, I think.
And then, Shrees, do you have one?
Yeah, mine's kind of a little bit different. I'm going to use someone's experience as an example in popular culture. So, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, or Enola Holmes, or her makeup brand and skincare brand that everyone might be familiar with. So I think it was earlier on this year, she called out the bullying that she had received over the internet. And this was majorly, like I mentioned before, to do with journalism. And her growing up on screen through Stranger Things. I mean, they were all very young when they started. And they grew up very quickly from season to season, because I think there was probably like a year, if not more, in between them. And kids grow up quick. So she was bullied over her appearance and how she was aging and how she was changing and how she was becoming a version of herself that she wanted to be. So she kind of called out, all the journalists, and she named them. And she has this big speech on her social media. Anyone can go and listen to it. It is a really good listen. But all the bullying that happened to her was so evident over social media, over articles that were being published about her. Everyone was just trolling her so hard. It was difficult to see because she is really young. And so she's got a speech on it. But a little while back, she called out, before this speech on social media, she mentioned it in her MTV Awards speech as well. I think that was in 2018. I don't remember, but she did a speech then as well. So this is like, despite that, she's had to do a big speech on her social media. And I'll just quote this little bit from it. It says, "They act like I'm supposed to stay frozen in time, like I should still look the way I did on Stranger Things season 1. And because I don't, I'm now a target. This isn't journalism, this is bullying." And it really, really affected her, because every little thing that she was doing, she was dyeing her hair, everyone's commenting on it. And it's hard. Like, she was only 21 or something when she did this speech on her social media. Like, how is that even seen as okay to do so?
Gosh.
And that's publicly, and people, again, like journalists, to get away with it. It's awful.
Awful. Yeah.
And she said as well in her MTV speech, said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. It's something that everyone says all the time, but like so many people don't follow by it. Just, there's no need. It really takes nothing to just be nice. Nothing at all. Put good vibes into the universe.
That's true.
You'll receive the same back. Don't be nasty.
I think another harrowing take on the entire bullying situation is 13 Reasons Why. So that was a really harrowing take on it. I think there was multiple instances of bullying depicted in that show, and it's not an easy watch. And but it does lean in quite a lot into this topic. And then another film that I watched was Death of a Cheerleader, and that's based on a true story of a girl who was so maliciously bullied that she ended up ending the life of the person who was bullying her. And again, like I mentioned, that's based on a true story. So there's some things for you guys to watch, maybe if you want to know a little more about the subject, or if you just from different perspectives.
Yeah, but on that note, we should wrap it up. We've nattered on quite a lot on this one. So let's call it a night, guys.
Bye bye all.
But please, before we do that, please like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things that you're supposed to do, so we feel a little bit of encouragement to continue doing what we're doing as well, because we really do like these natters. So if you're enjoying it, if you're liking it, just let us know. That is all.
That is all.
Bye bye, everybody.
Natter back.
Over and out.